How's it going, guys? Key of Shadow here, and I'm late to the party on this. I know I'm late to the party on this, but I at least want to get my thoughts out on it while I do have the chance. And just to make things clear, as of the date of this recording, in case you're watching this later down the road, this is being recorded before DMC5 comes out, long before it comes out. So this is pure speculation on anything that I talk about here. Pretty much everything that I talk about here in terms of what I think the microtransactions will turn out to be in Devil May Cry 5 are pure and utter speculation. With that being said, let's get into my thoughts. Now, when I initially heard about the microtransactions in Devil May Cry 5, I thought, okay, this won't be too much of a problem because as last I checked, we don't use red orbs for like the major upgrades anymore. The most that red orbs are really used for is buying items and possibly buying things to increase the health gauge and increase the DT gauge, which in the case of the health gauge, you could just find those in the world anyways. But in the case of the DT gauge, you kind of have to increase that in some way, because there's no feasible way for you to get through the whole game with just the default like 3 notches or whatever. But I thought we haven't needed to use red orbs to get skills and such, so I thought this wouldn't be much of a problem. That wasn't until a few days ago when I was watching something online. There was apparently like an interview or something with the director of the game. At least I think it was the director. It was someone that was leading it was someone that was like in a leading position of the project, that said that Proud Souls, or whatever they're called, won't be in Devil May Cry 5. They're going back to the pure red orb system where all upgrades, items, skills, and etc. will be with red orbs, just like it was in Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3. That is where I started to get worried, ladies and gentlemen, because this makes me think that something insidious might happen. Something insidious might be going on, and we need to have some way to, cry out about it, talk about it, whatever. So, here are my thoughts. Initially, I was thinking, okay, maybe they'll kind of do it like what they did in Devil May Cry 4. And what I mean by that is that in Devil May Cry 4, yes, there was a way to buy red orbs and such in the game, but it was a case of, in the case of the blue orbs, if you buy all these, you will not be able to collect any more. Like, there's no way that you can get more health than what the game will actually allow. Like, you can't have more than like 2 full bars or something. And in the case of the red orbs, there was only one listing for it. There was only one pack for the red orbs, and once you bought that, that's it. You couldn't buy any more. You could only buy it once, and there was only one pack there. Personally, in my case, I bought the bundle. I bought the bundle of Devil May Cry 4's special edition, so I pretty much got all the extra goodies except for the blue orbs. I did not get the blue orbs, and I don't plan on buying those anytime soon, because I could just do fine with finding them on the game or whatever, but that's beside the point. So initially after hearing all this, I thought, okay, maybe I'll do it this way. But then after seeing how much of an outcry there was, after how much of a backlash there was from these microtransactions when this news came out, it became very clear that what we should be expecting is like the usual kind of microtransactions like you would see from a mobile game or something, where you have multiple packs of this currency that you could buy as many times as you want. It just depends on how much you plan on spending. And if that is the case, that makes me worry, like, are they going to lower the amount of orbs that you can earn from doing things? Will you not be able to realistically just grind to get the orbs that you need for the later skills that you would want to, look a little bit more flashy when you fight? Which, as you know, Devil May Cry, it's all about being flashy when you fight. But, if that is the case, then that will make me worried. Like, I want to be optimistic. I want to say that, okay, even though they're doing it this way, they're not going to, like, drastically nerf orb earnings. And who knows, maybe there'll be, like, an extra side activity where you can grind for orbs. Like, in the case of Devil May Cry 4, there is the Bloody Palace, kind of a survival gauntlet thing where you could fight through, and you would actually earn stuff like red orbs and Proud Souls depending on how far along you do in the game or how well you do in the game. If there is something like that in Devil May Cry 5, I might be able to forgive the microtransactions, simply because there is a way to grind out the same amount of orbs that you would buy for the skills. But at the same time, I'm thinking, wait, this is something that involves combat heavily, and it wouldn't be too far off to think that someone would think this is really boring without this skill. So if they did include this, it might also be a way of pushing someone to buy these red orb packs just so they could have more enjoyment while going through this gauntlet or just going through the game in general. If that is also the case, then that's insidious as shit, and I really hope that they don't do that. Now, in this interview that I'm talking about, that told me about the whole Proud Souls not being a thing in Devil May Cry I5, he said that the reason they were doing it is because they want to be able to cater to anyone else's playstyle. Like, maybe you're the kind of person that wants to play through the game, grind, and progress through it like someone normally would, or you want to be someone that has everything right out the gate without having to grind for anything. And that both these playstyles were valid, and this was a way to cater to both of those. While I do get the concept of that, while I do get the mindset that he would have of that, at the same time, that can be used for insidious business practices. That can be used for shitty business practices that a lot of people to this day, and probably from this day on, and some of the people have been complaining about for a while now, that they believe should not be in AAA games, and that is the idea of microtransactions in a AAA title. Now, like I said, my thoughts are, if there's a way to realistically grind in this without it feeling too grindy, and you're still able to get the orbs that you need for whatever it is that you want, then these microtransactions, they'll be fine. They won't be all too intrusive, and it'll be kind of like what the director or whatever position this man is on the project, whatever he said, it'll fit in a bit more to that. But if Capcom decides to do the thing where they will heavily lower orb earnings compared to the previous games, they'll heavily lower those compared to the previous games, in order to try and force you to buy into these microtransactions so you could simply progress, get your upgrades, get what you need to actually get through the game in an enjoyable fashion, that's where I'm going to get worried. Keep in mind, I'm trying to have a positive mindset here. I'm trying to be positive. But at the same time, I can't help but be realistic here, and considering how Capcom has been in recent years with some of their properties and some of the stuff that they've done, I can't help but think that this will end badly for Devil May Cry. And that's saying a lot considering the reputation of DMC Devil May Cry, which, from what I've been told, the only real problem that people have with it now is the story and how they handle the characters. In terms of gameplay, DMC Devil May Cry was perfectly fine. Some people were saying that it was probably the best out of a Devil May Cry game. It's just that they hated how the characters were handled, and they hated the story of the game. But that's besides the point. And it's funny that I mentioned this because apparently the director of DMC5 was someone that actually really enjoyed Ninja Theory's DMC Devil May Cry and wanted to make a sequel to that. But when he found out that wasn't going to happen, let's just do Devil May Cry 5 then. I'm getting off topic. So, as long as and here's another suggestion that I have. Here's another suggestion that I have that might happen depending on how the backlash is handled. But kind of a similar thing that they did with the bundle for DMC4 Special Edition is what they could do for DMC5's Deluxe Edition. If they do have it to where there's only one red orb pack that you can buy once, then they could just include that with the Deluxe Edition, because the Deluxe Edition is already coming in with a bunch of stuff like new Devil Breakers, including a Mega Man arm cannon. So it wouldn't be too far off to assume that, okay, if they're doing it this way, then they should add this in with the deluxe edition. I doubt that that's how it's going to go, especially considering how much people are fucking freaking out about the inclusion of microtransactions into Devil May Cry 5. At least they were before the news kind of died down a little bit. I haven't really heard anything about it in a while. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that Capcom and the team behind Devil May Cry 5 will see all this backlash and think, okay, we can't get rid of it fully, but we might as well do it in a way that people don't seem to really complain about. I can't really say anything else on the matter. I think I've pretty much said everything that I can say on the matter. But yeah, those are basically my thoughts. My thoughts are, as long as they're not intrusive and there's a way to realistically get the orbs required for the later skills and other upgrades, then these microtransactions will be a non-issue. But if it gets to the point where you feel like you have to buy one of these in order to get this skill without spending hours and hours on the same thing over and over again, just get this one thing, if it ends up being like that situation, then it will be a problem. As I said before, this is recorded long before Devil May Cry 5 is supposed to come out. As of this recording, is October 2018, which means we still have quite a few months before Devil May Cry 5 comes out. I'm hopeful, and I'm excited for the game, but at the same time, I'll be kind of worried. I'll be kind of wary. I'll go in with I'll go in with skeptical optimism, essentially. I know that I'm probably not going to get that many people to watch this, but to the people that do watch this, let me know your thoughts on the comments below. I genuinely want to get some feedback from you guys on this matter. Thank you guys for watching. This has been the Key of Shadow, and I am signing out.